Good evening, everyone.
Hello. Okay.
As people are
So, time to go, Rupal,
yeah,
please.
I'm just waiting for everyone to get in, if the waiting room is okay. Welcome, everyone. It is my pleasure to invite you to join our Academy Hour, the first of our cycle for this year. And we are very proud to present it with Hoya, who are our education partner for this year. And we'll have a few other joint events with them. Do look out for our webinars with Hoya, as well as future Academy Hours as we plan for the next year. I'm going to hand you over to José, Pascal, and Marianne, and they will take you through unlocking confidence in practice. Welcome, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rupal. Thank you, everyone. My name is José Manuel Gonzalez-Meijome. Along with our president, Rupal Lowell Patel, at this term of 2 years, I will be the vice president of the European Academy of Optometry and Optics, after serving a 6-year period as chair of the educational committee. So it's my pleasure to now welcome you all on this new Academy Hour, and our partners from Hoya, in this case, Marianne and Pascal, who will join us in this webinar to unlock the confidence in practice on myopia management. So this, as the title reveals, will be a very practical session, a very clinical practice-oriented session. So just to give you a little bit of context, I present our co-hosts for this evening. Marianne Goldwaser earned her master in optometry from the University of José in Paris in 2004. After several duties in clinical and industry, in 2020, he became the medical and scientific director of Hoya Vision Care in France, and among other responsibilities, he was successfully launching MyoSmart lenses. And since January 2023, she has been part of the global professional affairs team advocating for myopia management and prevention at conferences, events, webinars, and specialized press articles. On his side, Pascal Blaser is a master in vision science and business in optometry branch. He studied in Germany for a master of science at the University of Allen, was also involved in clinical practice and industry, and in 2014, he co-founded Myopia Care, a globally known myopia platform for eye specialists. Since 2021, Pascal has been supporting as medical director of myopia at Hoya Lens Germany, the scientific exchange in myopia management, and MyoSmart launch in the German-speaking region. Also, he works as a professional affairs manager in Hoya Vision Global Care. Thank you very much, Pascal and Marianne, for joining us. We will be co-moderating this session. So Pascal and Marianne have prepared some questions to address the audience and to get you involved. Before we go on to the specific subject, I will ask you to turn off your microphones during the presentation and whenever you want to participate, because we pretend this is an interactive session and a lively session. You can raise your hand to turn your mic on and make your question. When you address the moderators or, well, the audience in general, try to do very well focused questions and comments so that we can maximize the number of people that can intervene. So rather than very long interventions, try to go straight to the point and to put your question or comment very clear to all of us. So thank you again, and well, Pascal and Marianne, please go ahead.
Thank you, José. What an introduction.
Yeah, thank you, José. Thank you, Rupal. Thank you for the EAO for inviting us and give us the opportunity to have this Academy Hour with you. I'm really excited to see how it will run over the hour.
Yeah, and the program we propose to you today is, we hope at least to reach the 5 topics with you. And we would like to start first with some sharing of your myopia management journey, then some discussion around biometry, communication as key of the success of myopia management. What about the perfect fit? And then, of course, the last question, the when to stop. But maybe, Pascal, if you're okay with that, we can start through the QR code. So if you don't mind, just to all of you scan the QR code to join the Slido.
So we have prepared like 5 to 6 questions to get a bit known of you. So what is your experience? Do you already myopia management? How you do myopia management? Which kind of product you are using? So that we know a bit more about you. And then I think it's easier to have some discussions around. So
the next question is, any issue to connect?
So we will see the results also in the same time as you will see later. So we will go through the first few questions then quite quickly. This is, as said, just to understand your active myopia management while you actively translating science in practice.
Yeah, thank you. It's working. Just let's wait. How many people we have? 34.
So already did my part. Hope I'm passing in the examination.
Hope so. We'll see. Just want to wait 1 more minute to get all the people commenting.
Please don't be shy. The response is totally anonymous, so
Yeah,
we are
and
safe.
the first question starts well, José. For instance, at least we do have 100% offering proactive myopia management to myopic patient. And this is a good
So we are a biased audience.
but let's wait a little more, maybe. Yeah.
Haven't expected differently. So in this round, yeah. So we have just 6, 8. It's coming in.
Yeah, it's coming in.
Some people are just joining
Yeah.
the Slido, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can scan the QR code in the top left corner.
So let's stay in that. Yeah. Yeah, it's increasing.
Good. Some diversity shows up.
Yeah. Should I move forward, Pascal? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a dedicated area, so it's a 50-50. Oh, balancing 55 to the yes. Yeah. How many people under treatment currently? 10 to 20% is 27%, not bad. Yeah. And yeah, we wanted to highlight that point to discuss it today. Yeah, so main barriers for 56% is a high price. Don't see children in my practice. Of course, it's a good reason not to do. Issue with the ophthalmologist nearby. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we can open someone asking what are the issues with ophthalmologists. They are not convinced. They are not referring. They just treating with atropine and don't want to see optical interventions.
Or maybe it is that when the families are looking for a second opinion, maybe the physician is against the proposal that the clinician is doing. Ortho-K contact lenses is too early for a kid to use this kind of devices. Today, with the ophthalmic lenses, the opposition is less. But yeah, I agree with Pascal. We will be interested in understanding which is the reality, and might be very diverse because the practice of primary eye care across Europe is very diverse and very heterogeneous. So what is true in some place might be completely different in other place. But what I feel here, for example, in Portugal, is that sometimes the second opinion, either by another optometrist or an ophthalmologist, is not so in favor of starting that myopia management approach. Well, this is my small experience on that.
Yeah, I think price is also, I think is an issue what we hear a lot of time. Of course, the contact lens or 2K spectacle lenses, approved spectacle lenses are more expensive. So I think something have also to be done by health insurance. And if you don't know, in Switzerland, just this is big news from Switzerland. There is now a reimbursement from the health insurance by like around 850 euro for myopia management products. So from next month, it's not anymore a discussion about price, and only parents with high incomes can afford it. So I think from the price point, there are different options. We can have kind of monthly fees, which reducing the costs a bit, or then we need to be more proactive lobbying for the health insurances.
If I can share the French experience, we are working for now 2 years in Hoya to get a specific reimbursement because we get the health authority recognition 2 years ago for that. So it's quite long indeed to get a specific reimbursement. But in the meantime, now we are make the calculation per day. So that means it costs you 1-2 euros per day to do the myopia management to your kids, comparing to, I don't know, just a cup of coffee. It's 1-2 euros the same. So if you can pay 2 euros per day for a coffee, why don't you pay 2 euros per day for your myopia management spectacle lens for your kids? Yeah, some few tips like this is always helping, but I don't feel that the price should be an issue, but indeed some parents don't have enough money.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised, but in a good way. It's I hear a lot when I speak with eye care practitioner opticians. It's time consuming. So interesting in this group, there is not the issue. The barrier is about the time, because we need a bit more time to spend for myopia management. And yeah, to speak with parents is not a barrier. Nice to see that. Okay, I think it's a special group here. And I think in the next question, where we see about which myopia management solution you are working with, I think is that what we see, especially when we see the history, how myopia management comes to Europe. It was mainly in contact lenses. So I think it's still in in the habits, and also in the group of eye care specialists. Is it the same by high street opticians? We don't know. That's maybe I don't know, group of in the UK. You see that a bit different.
Yeah, as you said, the contact lenses were first, and then the spectacle lenses came. So there's been a lot more training on contact lenses, and then now the spectacle lenses will come through.
Yeah. Then what we like to show in the next slide, there is always a survey by IMI. For the Myopia Institute, International Myopia Institute. So if you haven't made this year's survey, so please go to the websites. I think you can still vote.
Yeah.
But if we see the numbers here, so it's like 50% approved myopia control spectacles, approved myopia control. I think this is maybe true for groups like we are here. This is a bit biased, I would say, this survey, because who is fulfill the survey of such kind? It's like here in the group, it's always the proactive working, treating professions. So always a bit, take this a bit cautious, this kind of numbers, but it shows that if we also see the development from the 2021, we see that many more myopia control solutions, approved spectacles and contact lenses are used than before. I think that's a really nice evolution. Not sure about combination therapy. I don't know, Jose, especially in Europe, is this really true, or do they mean maybe a dual treatment? I'm always the discussion is soft contact lenses and spectacle lens combination, or is it a dual treatment?
I'm not complete. I don't have numbers on that trends, but of course, in those countries where atropine is allowed to be used by optometrists, and in those countries where ophthalmologists embrace myopia management more actively, I will say that the dual or the combined treatment will be more and more applicable. So the combination of the pharmaceutics and the optical treatment. About the dual or the combined treatment, the dual treatment, using soft contact lenses during the day, and when they arrive home using spectacles, or in a weekday where they make a pause in their contact lens use, they use an ophthalmic lens with a special design for myopia control. I also guess that that will be an increasing trend in the coming years, but so far I think that practitioners are not so convinced of the benefits of the dual treatment or the combined treatment itself. So what the studies have shown is that, well, by using a minimum of around 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, the treatment, you will arrive to a certain level of efficacy or a certain level of size effect, or not increasing the axial length, which is what you pursue. And well, the studies are building up on the evidence that the use of combined treatments or adding more hours of treatment, even with another device, might have an additional effect. So as this evidence builds up, probably we will have more people embracing that. But until now, and while this is not transferred to the global guidelines like the IMI recommendations and others as strong recommendations, well, probably is not a strong trend so far. So in my country, for example, I see more single treatment approach. Those who want to use atropine, mostly ophthalmologists, they only use atropine. Others that use optical devices, maybe they are forbidden to use drugs or atropine to use it. So the single treatment is the most habitual pattern, but there is an opportunity in that combinations, of course.
I think what we don't know is there really a synergetic effect if we combine atropine with optical treatment? So that's not completely clear. We guess so, that because they are different point of actions, but we will see. What is also for me now, when I was seeing that number is what is the definition of combination treatment? Is increased time outdoor and optical treatment already a combination treatment, or is it just still a single one? But I think we can questioning that the definition.
Indeed, Pascal, because for many ECP, it's just adding the lifestyle changement plus the spectacle lenses, for example, is already a combination treatment for them. When the kid has really risk factors due to their adverse motor habits, but David is adding.
Yes, and I think we know that if you increase time outdoor or reducing near task, then maybe your treatment, if you select the myopia spectacle contact lenses, then maybe it works better than if you stay all the time indoor. So there was a question in the chat popped up.
Yeah, but the question of David is not on the combination. Actually, it's on the price. When the single parents can afford the dual treatment, do you think if the price is already an issue, can the parents afford the dual treatment? Indeed.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I think there needs to be a big awareness by the parents, and they really need to understand why they should invest that amount of money for these children or its children. Okay, but what is good is like the International Myopia Institute, and if you go to the next slide, the World Society of Pediatric Ophthalmology, they have already published some nice consensuses, what is working and what is not working. So like the International Myopia Institute, I like always to refer to that paper because you can see what is endorsed by the scientific committees. I think that's very important. If you talk with parents, you need to have supporting documents, and also the repos consensus is quite nice, written, very simple. It's just in 2-pager. You know what works and what does not work, or has just a minimal effect.
I can present also, Pascal, the WSPOS consensus does exist for ECP version, but also for patients.
Yes.
With simple words to explain the different solution on this consensus as well.
And I think that's if you want to convince parents about your recommended treatment, it's good to have such consensus papers from professional bodies, especially from pediatric ophthalmologists.
Yeah, you are mentioning something that is critical and will show up during the session, that is communication. So I understand that you will probably discuss this in more detail later, but we always have this compromise on what is too much information, what is too little information. So it's about a sweet balance in the middle that we should find. But we will discuss this later.
Yeah. But yeah, go to the next one so everyone can vote. But I think what maybe is something we can ask for the EAO. So the EAO, ECHO, published a paper about myopia management. I think a quite nice one, reviewed, all the products and so on. But then the question from my side, or request is for the optometrists in Europe, can you create a kind of summary about what is working and what not, so to give a guideline to your members, how to treat, when to start, when to stop, and so on. Maybe there's something it can be developed.
Pascal, you mentioned something very important. So at least we should get to the point of no one will recommend undercorrection or no correction as a potential treatment. So I think that is the minimum we have to aspire to do. Today is no professional in primary eye care is missing these updates in myopia management, because what was probably the option 20 years ago or 15 years ago or 10 years ago is no longer the best practice today. And the future will say, but it's not the best practice today. And we still see in the international survey that undercorrection is not at zero level. So while we are not at zero level on that kind of treatments or vision therapy for myopia management alone, while we have not a zero in that line, we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. And they need to be updated, the guidelines, that's it's so fast evolving. So like the last Swiss guideline is from 2019. So you cannot take this paper anymore as a reference. So it should be almost every 1 to 2 year minimum should be updated. It's so involved and fast.
That's
so
why my infographic is so helpful today, right?
Yeah, it's usually every 2 years minimum updated. So we see from the pool only 7. So maybe if we get some more feedbacks about the biometer. This is a question I personally really like, and we have a lot of discussions the last few weeks, months in optical conferences, because
you are mentioning the 700 Swiss francs for the reimbursement, but is there any biometry involved in the criteria to?
In that, yes, that's a good point. So now in Switzerland, so you cannot prescribe a myopia management option if you're not measuring the eye length. So this is quite strict. So hopefully, I think it's good good information for the biometer industry in Switzerland, but it's also good for the children, because we know that maybe not every child needs to be treated, and you only know that with if you use a biometer.
The access in France to the low dose atropine is also linked to the biometry measurements as well. So yeah,
it makes sense.
On that.
So when you go here and just click next one, then we can see the full. No, so This is a study made by Joe, which shows why a biometer is more accurate than just prescription, the refraction. So if you take slow progression up to 0.5 diopters, you can see that a lot of children are not matching the eye growth. So there are a lot of children who has underestimated refraction because the eye grows much faster. So there is some compensation system in the eye. So the cornea, the lens in the eye, who changing over the years and if you grow. So I think it's important if we see. So if you say, okay, I was only progressed by a quarter, so we have a success. Honestly, we don't know really, because we see that about 40% still grow fast and 70% had a moderate progression by over 0.17 millimeters. So still the recommendation is here to have the biometer because it's more accurate. And also you can see that, you know, a quarter diopter is compared like 0.08 millimeters. Oh, too fast. So I always get the question, so what, but that currently I don't have a biometer. So what can you do if you don't have a biometer? Can you do still myopia management? And I think, José, you agree, we can do myopia management. But what we are doing with the children, so how can we estimate if a child is under a risk to have a long eye? Because what is important in myopia management is we don't want to avoid have these long eyes over 26 millimeters. So if we take the Gullstrand, you can see the average K reading is by 7.7 millimeters when the adults, and this Gullstrand is for adults. So we have a plano, then the eye is an average like 24.4 millimeters. So if you increase the diopter by -3, what means it's increasing like 1 millimeters to the eye length. So if you increase by another three diopters, so by -6 diopters, you will reach this 26 millimeters. And this is what is quite matching the data from Flitcroft. So which shows that if you go over 5 or over 6 diopters, then you go into the risk to have the pathological changes later in life. So what are about the K readings? So if you don't have a biometer, I really highly recommend to measure the K reading. So because you know from contact lenses, if you decrease the K reading by 0.6 millimeters, this is similar to like you increasing by +3 diopters. Which means, again, this is like 1 millimeter difference. So if you have a steep cornea, like 7.1 millimeter, you're still plano. It means the eye is very small. It's like 1 millimeter smaller than the average Gullstrand eye. If you go on to the other side, you have a flat cornea. You see that you increase by 0.6 millimeters. So it means the child is theoretically -3 diopters short-sighted, but it's still plano because the eye is 1 millimeter longer. So you can see already in the first example, if a child is plano, it doesn't mean the child is not under the risk to have a long eye. So when we go the next step to -3 and then to -6, you can see that a child with a very steep cornea, even by -6, it's not reaching the 26 millimeters when it's an adult. So the communication between a steep cornea and a normal cornea base curve or a flat curve, a base curve, it's completely different. So you cannot speak with a curvature myopic child who is -3. You cannot talk the same like if you have a flat cornea by 8.3. So a child with 8.3 have a much higher risk to have a very long eye already if it's a low or medium myope. So if you don't have a biometer, please always measure the K reading, so you can estimate what in the future the eye can be. But again, this is the gold standard, which is made for adults. José, please.
And if you have a biometer, continue measuring the case. So I think we should never miss a retinoscopy, a keratometry, whatever the measure or whatever the method you use, but the K readings are relevant for understanding the optics of the eye in every sense. So from the very basic kid doing myopia management or fitting a contact lens or simply understanding what a -3 or a -1 or a -6 means for the potential axial length, even if you can measure it. But it is always a good measure for you to understand the refraction, the astigmatism, the internal astigmatism, all those old stuff we sometimes discredit. It's still very, very relevant. So keratometry to the power.
Yeah. Anyway, and I think what you take away. You can use that idea, of course, for the children, but use it also for adults. So if you make a contact lens fitting and measuring keratometry, and you see a very flat cornea, maybe you should measure the eye length in addition. Then maybe you find something which you did not expect. This one is just published during ARVO by a team from Germany, from the University of Vienna. They used the Oculus Myopia Master with the GRASS module. I don't know if you are familiar with that one, but the GRASS module shows you quite nicely where the myopia comes from. So is it a curvature myopia? Is it an axial myopia? Is the myopia or is the prescription coming from the crystalline lens? Is it from the cornea, or is it because of the axial elongation? And what is interesting in that data I found, so it's not a linear change. So we see that especially in the young age, the most of the axial or the eye is from axial elongation. It's not from the crystalline. So, but when they get older, the crystalline has much more influence by the prescription and the eye length itself. So even if you see at the beginning in a very young child, you measure the K reading, maybe this can change during the years. So always be careful. And again, if you want to know really the axial length, then you need the biometry. So
Any
you can.
José, on that one? Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know. I was wondering if José has any comment on that poster from ARVO. Yeah.
No, not really. So I think, of course, it reinforced the idea that for the younger cohorts that are those who that we approach with myopia management today, of course, axial length continues to be the main dominant one. In adolescence, starts to change a little bit, and the cornea also has a play to role. So here, a role to play in this equation. So before being extremely dramatic or extremely sure what we are informing the parents of, okay, it's a -4, it's a high risk, understand whether this -4 comes from, and as Pascal said, evaluating the keratometric radii and also the axial length will tell us a little bit more context on how concerned we should be about that. So the -3 again can mean at risk eye or not so much at risk, depending on the keratometric level. And also in this young age, 3rd grade, 12 years of age, 8 years of age, a proportion of those patients will show some kind of curvature myopia. But of course, axial is the predominant one. And what we want is to retain that growth as much as possible.
Yeah, and maybe on this point, in the IMI, in the white paper, there is the biometry as recommendation. So some people say, yeah, it's just a recommendation, so I don't need the biometer. So why is it just a recommendation there?
I think that is kind of trying to match the recommendation to the reality. And at this point, I believe that if there will be a definitive recommendation of, like in Switzerland, so no one will prescribe a myopia management treatment without a biometry in the office. Probably that might prevent, not in Switzerland, maybe not in Germany, but in other countries, might limit the number of kids who might benefit from those treatments. So I agree with you. The nice to have, it's the biometer. The must have is not the time yet to go to that point, but with time we will arrive to that point. So no one imagined to do orthokeratology without a topographer, and probably in very few years no one will imagine to do myopia management without a strong metric to evaluate the current status and how it evolves with time. So in terms of prognosis and follow-up, I will say it's critical to have a very accurate metric, and nothing more accurate today than a low coherence optical biometer or any similar technology that might come in the future. And I think that technology will evolve so fast that we will have a very, I won't say cheap, but very affordable biometers around the corner. So we all remember 25 years ago, a topographer, a placido-disc topographer will be prohibitive, and 5-10 years later, this was at the value of an autorefractometer. So it was a choice that the practitioners could do because everyone had one of the autorefractometers. So the decision is, if I have to do specialized contact lens practice, I need the topographer. With the biometers, will very soon happen the same. And at that time, probably the recommendation will be more, will be stronger.
Yeah, I agree completely. And what is, because we get a lot of questions, do we need, or, we see that every child needs myopia management, every child needs a myopia treatment. And I think, again, here with the biometer, we can also differentiate between the children who are 0.5. So when you start by 0.5 diopters, by -1 diopter, so maybe, again, when we see the axial elongation, we can focus more on the children who has the medical need to be treated. So what we see here is the eye growth curve by Truppenbrot, and by the data from Truppenbrot, it's quite nice that we see the yellow one, so it's the 50 percentile, shows quite nicely the emmetropic children. So children who stay emmetropic over the childhood until adulthood, they have an increased eye growth. So the eye is growing. The eye is not zero progression. So there is always this little progression, faster when they are younger and slower when they get older. But there is a progression even by young children. So meaning, if you go back, please, again.
Yeah. Just
what
making
is
the timekeeper, Pascal. Yeah.
Yes, I know. It's always like that with me. So I think what is important, which kind to treat, I think if you need to discuss with parents, I think the children in the blue zone, they not really need to treat, and not to treat aggressively, or not at all, I would say. But if you can go have children, when you measure the eye length in the red zone, then you need to go to the treatment, and the higher, maybe then you need to treat even with the combination. These percentile are quite close to the Tiedemann. I would say they're not exactly matching because it's a different cohort, but they are quite close in Tiedemann. I think it's not the 15th percentile, but quite close to the 15th one. So you can use. And the other good thing about the biometer is you can estimate, or can not estimate, because you can measure it. You can see the treatment success. And here is a nice example of my daughter. So the first year after we diagnosed her as myopia, with myopia, we just gave her a single vision because she was not ready at that time for contact lenses. and there was no spectacle lenses available. And you see, untreated, she had an excessive eye growth by over 0.20 millimeters. But then when we started, the eye growth stabilized quite nearly to the emetropic eye growth, which shows in the end the treatment works. And as long we are here now in the treatment, we see that we reached the treatment goal for my daughter. So this is quite nice to see after 1 year already if a treatment works by a child. So we come to the next one.
To the topic then,
José,
of the communication, and we would like to have some comment from your side about the communication with parents about myopia management. Are you using a dedicated on website, some external websites, some company leaflet, brochure, or independent leaflet booklets? Do you have any explanation or educational videos, even a myopia simulator to show parents who are metropic what's happening to their kids? Are you using any software calculator or any other solution not in the list?
I will ask the audience also if in some of the aspects we have already discussed, if you have other options of treatments, approaches, diagnostic tools, instruments for communications that are not reflected on this list, please feel free to share through the chat or raising your hand and turn it on your microphone to give us your experience. So it will be very welcome to have a more comprehensive view of what is going on in our region, in our countries, and in other regions that are connecting with us today.
Yeah, and new ideas for the future we need to develop. And what is interesting about like the myopia simulator, what you can see, Dr. Michael Berchi from Switzerland presented 2 weeks ago how he's doing. He takes the trial lenses for refraction and show to the parents when they are not myopic. So if they have no idea what is -3, -6, so he placed in the trial frame a +3, +6, and let them look in the distance.
I have a French doctor who is doing the same.
And
show parents how's life without seeing.
So of course we can talk about health, and but if you show the parents what they have no idea how badly the vision is really for the children and how it can develop.
You may have also, I would be interested, we would have asked this question, but have you any difference in the communication when it's a non-myopic parents comparing to the myopic parents as well, right? I saw Ripple.
I think parents with -10, you don't need to explain myopia. You don't need to explain what is the problem and what can be happen, because usually they have already with early 40 to 50, they have already some issues on the retina.
We do have 11% of other, José, so it would be interesting to have some sharing there on the others. Yeah.
Maybe you write it in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw a hand raising. Yes.
Communication with the parents is the most difficult part of myopia management.
Yes, it is.
And usually we give some web pages to study, because if they ask many ophthalmologists, they don't like myopia management. And many parents that read through the internet, they are ready to bring the child to start myopia management.
But do you think it's good that the parents browse the internet? Google Doctor is quite a difficult one.
Correct, I agree with you, but most of the case in ortho-K patients, they come ready to start ortho-K because they wrote on the through the internet. Yes.
I see Olena is quite strict with how to.
I can understand that. I don't like Google Doctor, but this is the truth.
Yeah, maybe giving a neutral or booklet, brochure, something which is
correct.
is maybe then just need to read the basics. And I really like this kind of what the parents need to understand. And we tend as optometrists to draw the eye, and then we draw the defocus, and then we show pictures about retina, and we know that usually if you tell 100 things, they will take 10 home, and maybe not the 10 you want. So
Pascal, I have a booklet the last 2 years. In 10 people, one person reads them. I give to them and they don't read
They
it.
don't take the time to read it.
Yeah, but maybe we need to review that booklet then. Can help it to increase it. So what we put together is what really needs the parents to understand, that especially in the first visit. You cannot explain the parents everything about myopia, the risks. Of course, they want to know about the mobile phone of the child. That's the bad thing, but I think it's easy. You should start that the myopia is not normal in the childhood. So if a child is already myopic, that is not normal. And then if you can see that myopia has increased, so this is something which is not normal, that myopia is increasing. So usually you should stay emmetropic and not involving. And then explaining that this increase of myopia is usually because the eye grows. And if the eye grows, we will have in the future maybe any risk of eye diseases because the eye is too long. And today, and this is what is nice, we can change or reduce this progression if we change a bit the lifestyle, going more outdoor or less close work, or the reading distance. And what we have today, we have safe products, treatment options, pharmaceutical optical ones, to reduce the eye growth. And that's it. And then, of course, then you need to show, of course, the different options.
Pascal, we have a comment on the chat that lifestyle changes are not enough to manage myopia. Probably as a complementary thing, but do not understand that as a standalone strategy, of course.
No, of course. But it's like we started at the beginning. What is this the combination treatment? We always need to add to the optical interventions these lifestyle changes. So if we don't change the lifestyle, then most probably you can use almost every treatment. Yeah? If you prison children in the dark room, it will not help.
And this is the hardest part for the parents. This is the moment where they are acting the more on the lifestyle. So it's a teamwork with the parents. This is why the communication is so crucial at beginning, to make them understand the role they can play as well to support you and the strategy behind.
Yeah. So we put a bit together, and exactly what you said. There are websites you can refer to with clinical resources where you have booklet, leaflets, handouts to give. Of course, we offering from industry a lot of leaflets, documents to give to the parents. There are online tools, so online myopia simulators. There are online tools to evaluate the future progression if you treat or if you don't treat. And we know that we are quite visual persons. So if you only tell them numbers or telling them something, they will not understand. So it's always easier if you show parents something in a visual. So, and usually red, green, orange is a quite good. The ample system is quite an easy one to explain. We are in the red zone, so it's kind of important to act. And of course, what is nice, the new biometers like the LensStar or Myopia Master and Maya, they have nice software inside. So this is also a help to decrease the chair time.
Some practical question, Pascal, during checkup of the 12-year-old patient with the -6 fit with the myopia management optical solution, you noted a change in the sphere equivalent of -0.75. So there is some progression, and the axial length as well had increased as well compared to the previous checkup 12 months ago. What do you do? Are you keeping the same treatments, but just asking him to come back 6 months later? Change the treatment option plus the 6 months follow-up behind? Add some low-dose atropine to the actual treatment plus adding the 6 months follow-up? Asking and trying to modify firstly the lifestyle habits. Firstly, check compliance and fitting to check if any issue there and fix the issue before moving. Let's wait to see.
Yeah, I think there is a comment by Inez that the most parents want to have an open conversation, and they agree. They don't want to dive, especially in the first visit, too deep inside. And what I think you need to have this printed out is, as usually, that only one part of the parents is coming into your store or into the practice. So, you know, gender neutral, we would say the father or the mother is coming into the store in your practice, and you explain them everything about myopia, why it's a risk, why you need to treat, and so on. And then mother is going home to explaining to the father the same story. That's a difficult one. You cannot expect that after your 10 to 20 minute talk to the parents that this one part of the parents can take the same message home, and then maybe the second part, the parents are challenging, and then maybe then will not come back to you because they don't believe, or they go into Google. So I think to give them something home which they can read, and maybe just also websites to follow. I would go to websites which are professional, from professional bodies, with the consensus is giving this kind of documents home can help that the one parent can convince the other parent.
In France, you know, they have a French, they have a consent form that the one you are using for the surgery, you know, there is a 1 week time restriction. You need to sign your agreement for to go into the surgery. And so the French doctor are using same system, not waiting for the week of thinking of that, but at least it's an official support they can give to the parents to take the time to think about what they have said also before. It's also, and when the parents are signing, it's also an engagement from their side. So it could be some things like that also that you could work with as well. And so back to our question, Pascal. So for this 12 months, the good news is 67% first check the compliance and fitting, but then atropine and lifestyle habits are coming just after. And I'm happy to see that the change of the treatment option is not the first thing that you are considering.
Yeah, but I agree that we should finally, we should of course check the compliance, you know, because if we see that the treatment is not as successful as we hoped, then maybe, you know, first check always fitting and compliance. That's, I think we agree all that if you're not wearing the lenses, if you don't wearing the spectacle lenses, you will not have a treatment.
Indeed. And another question, it's an open question, that one, open text. How do you persuade and communicate with parents to continue the myopia control when, as this case, the last examination has showed some excessive progression with the current myopia management solution? So it's a real life situation there, facing the increasing of the myopia progression, and then how to communicate with parents to manage the parents at the end.
Well, you have to have base evidence. So you need biometry to show to the patients the map.
So it's one argument in favor to do the biometry, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the question is always a bit about expectations. I think what we should really careful when we start treatment usually, or when we talk with the parents, it's to talk about the expectation of your treatment. You know, we all know about, you know, every company talking about the percentage of a treatment, but we know that these studies are made with a limited, you know, prescription like -1 to -5 and so on. So we need to have different studies, of course, to understand what happens with children, or what is happening with children with the higher myopes, if they are reacting the same. So most probably not. And these are data from Germany. So Professor Kaimak and the team, and the clinic of Professor Kaimak is a retinal surgeon. So it's not you know, it's not the children as you see normally in your practice. We know from our data from our spectacle lenses, the 70% of the lenses are below -4. So most of the children we usually use or fit spectacle lenses, contact lenses, are not the high myopes. So they are more or less even still in the moderate one. But you can see here we have in very high myopes in this data set. So here it's important to when you speak with the parents at the beginning to speak about the expectation, because when you go, if it's just 1 second back, if you have children in the red zone, so in the high and extreme myopia, you most probably will not reach the treatment goal on ametropic eye growth, because they have so much about you know, genetics behind, which you cannot not treat with optical solutions. So what we see about expectations, if we take the data from Kaimak and we only use the low and the medium myopes, so they are with, you know, they stay below the 26 millimeters on the end if they just growing, we see that the treatment with like here it's with MyoSmart, we are still in average in the green, but still there are some which stay in the red. But in average, we can see that most of the children in medium and low myopes will reach the goal. But if we go to the ones with the high and the extreme myopia, we also see that, and this is a way we need to treat every child, and we need to start with every child, but we need to tell the parents that we don't know at the beginning what the treatment will be on the end. So how effective it is. So the expectation is very important. And then, of course, if you stay in the red zone, you don't reach the treatment goal after the first year. It's exactly what you had before. There is an option to combine. So this is just overall. So even with the high myopes, we still have a treatment success.
Pascal, just a brief comment. So this is not strange to me, and probably not to anyone, as all the literature we have today and all the evidence based on clinical trials and meta-analysis is on moderate to low myopes. So most of the studies have concentrated on that. So we have to be very careful on trying to extrapolate the results we know from a specific population into other kind of myopias, age ranges, gender distributions, and even geographical implications. So of course, we have some foundations to believe that the treatments will work in a way or the other in different countries, in different ethnic backgrounds. For example, in orthokeratology, that have been conducting with different lenses in different countries, in different ethnic ancestors, and the results were very similar, very consistent. But of course, do not extrapolate what we have observed in -2 to -6 and 8 to 12 years of age kids into older patients with -12 diopters of myopia.
Yeah, I think expectation, and because if you give an expectation that we will stop the progression, so there will no progression anymore, and after 1 year it comes back, the parents are disappointed and maybe stop because they say, oh, it doesn't work. But we know that we need to keep the children into the treatments. So even though it seems not to work, we don't know exactly what would happen without. But we need to tell the parents upfront. If you are in the very high risk patients, we're not expecting that you will get to 0, and then you're not losing these children in the treatment.
Pascal, we are reaching the end of this academy
yes.
hour.
So, okay, combination treatment works, but we don't know in which children, then in some better than in others. So that's, I think, a quick conclusion.
If I have just 1 minute more, José, I would have loved to just run that last one on the frames. Depending on the frame lens fitting, do you expect to maximize the efficiency of the myopia management spectacle lenses? We already discussed a little bit on that. I'd be interested to see your opinion, but I will move quite fast forward at the next one, showing that, because I have the case in real. There is sometimes such fittings of bad choice, bad adjustments of frames with no efficiency at all of the myopia control, and of course facing such kind of frames and fitting, it works much nicely and works just only it works. So take care about the frames, not only the choose in itself, but also the fitting of the frame, because sometimes it's only a question of fitting. It's really nice to advise to see them very oftenly. Average, the kids needs to readjust the frames like 3 to 4 times per year. So it's the same with the myopia management, and it's in particular more important. And maybe you want to add anything, José?
Especially if you see the boy left side, it looks a very nice frame. But if you think about, we need to have a concentric defocus, so we need the segments all around. In this kind of frame design, almost everything and the top is cutted and also on the bottom. So we usually recommend to have a more, like you see on the boy, a more rounded frame. So also by in the future, if you want to select the frames, be also a bit cautious about the form, that you're not on the end, the child is selecting a frame and then you have to say, oh, I'm sorry, but this frame is not optimal for the myopia control spectacle lenses.
Again, the communication is essential, and I can share some French experience also as well to finish and conclude on that. They are choosing like 5, 6 to frame, and then let the parents choose only on this free choice they have made, facing the prescription, the needs, and of course the face of the kids.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
important. I think it would be good to have, if you have a dedicated myopia frame selection, that you say, okay, these are the MyoSmart or the frames which fits, so that the child is only selecting from this 20, 30 frames and not from the ones who are not working with this kind of spectacle lenses.
José, you're on mute. Sorry.
Yeah, this kind of compensation is also a treatment. So we have to be aware that if we don't swallow the whole pill, probably we will have only a part of the effect. So if we cut 50% of the area of active intervention, well, that might come with a consequence. Well, I think we can make a quick wrap up of the session. So we have we have been very clearly state that we have exciting times, and we still have exciting times ahead of us in terms of myopia management, with many new studies, new results coming time after time. It was very clear that we need to be updated very frequently. We need to update our technology also in office. We have to overcome the barriers that prevent us to provide these treatments to those who need them. And we have a very narrow window of intervention. So it's not a matter of saying, I can do it next year or in a couple of years, because every year that pass by in the life of these kids will never come back. So the window of intervention is critical. We have to be very well equipped. We have to be very well updated. And of course, choose the right tools to fit the devices we are going to prescribe. So we cannot fit contact lenses to those who don't want to wear them or cannot wear them. We cannot fit contact lenses to those who cannot carry those lenses for more than 5 or 6 hours, if that will be the case. And we cannot fit spectacle lenses who those who will not carry it, or that they are using the wrong frame that will prevent the treatment to make effect. So this is a case by case. There is not a magic silver bullet to everyone, fitting everyone.
Exactly.
So we have to have a comprehensive set of options and try to choose the one who ensures the best compliance, because it's the way we will have the potential of maximum effect. So thank you very much for attending. Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, Pascal, and thank you, José, for being such a wonderful partner in this journey of improving and updating the education in optometry and optics across Europe. Thank you to our president, Rupal. A final word from you before we close.
No, just to say thank you very much, and thank you all attendees who've engaged, who've given us their opinions, who took part in the quizzes and Slido. So thank you very much. The certificates will come out if you registered in a few days' time. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you next
Thank you.
time. See you
Bye.
in the
Thank
next
you.
hour.
Thank you.